When we talk about the legislation, it's actually a very technical conversation. Depending on which set of economists you talk to, the move is either being seen as pro-reform, as a kind of opening up of the farming sector. Remember, 60% of India's population still depends on the agricultural sector. But there are others who believe that this is just a way of letting big business houses devour the small farmer, especially those with small land holdings, and that farmers will be left at the mercy of these big corporates or oligarchs, so to speak. So the jury's out on that one. The real significance of the farmers' movement is to locate it within the larger context of democracy and dissent, of cultural assertion, of identity. Many of the farmers, and there are tens of thousands of them now on the streets for close to a fortnight, are from the northern states of Punjab and Haryana. These are states that produce the bulk of the wheat and rice in India. Many of them are Sikhs belonging to the faith that believes in sharing, for example, whatever they cook. So even at the protest sites, you see these stirring images of community kitchens, where even after clashes, for example, with India's police force, the same police is then fed by the protesters. So there's a great deal of sentimental symbolism, cultural symbolism around these movements. And I think the best way to understand it is that at a time when the Narendra Modi government is a very, very powerful government, has enormous electoral and political clout, not too many people or groups or organizations stand up to the government, and the farmers are doing that. So for me personally, the farmers' movement has gone well beyond a debate around these new laws.
And it is remarkable to observe how it is not in any way being stifled. It is only growing in momentum. Does it go to the heart of the criticism of Prime Minister Modi that he often governs impulsively?
Well, what his critics call impulsively, his supporters call tough decision-making. And, so once again, it depends on whether you're a fan of that kind of governance or not. It is true that the Modi government is distinct for taking sudden decisions without warning that are designed to shake up the status quo. There have been many such decisions, whether it's the demonetization of currency in India, whether it is this abrogation of Kashmir's long-standing constitutional special status, and now these new farm laws. Many would want to know what was the hurry. This has been a COVID year. It's been a year of the pandemic. What was the mad rush? Even if the government is convinced that this is indeed a pro-farmer reform, if the farmers do not accept the gift that you are bestowing on them, then at the very least in a democracy, you need to hear what their reservations are. So for me, it's a reminder that no matter how powerful a government may be, the voice on the street eventually does find a way to be heard. And I think at the moment, this is a huge challenge for the government because there is a great moral force to these protests. Many of the protesters are elderly. Many of them are poor. Some of them are spending cold winter nights in India's capital, sleeping under their tractors and trucks on the mud and gravel. Some of them have come with rations and food supplies that will last them 8 months. I have met farmers who say that they will stay as long as they are needed. Villages in the state of Punjab are sending tractor and truckloads of people, including little children. So the government is going to have to find a way of giving dignity of dialogue, as it were, to these protesters, and at least hearing them out on a level playing field.
And Bhargav, do you get the sense that they understand that if this has become a lot more about culture, opportunity, equality, then what is the conversation that needs to be had right now?
So, Beverly, that's $1 million question, right? So in the beginning, I think the government's response was to underestimate the value of these protests. Then there was an attempt to try and besmirch them, to sort of say that these were vested interests. The farmers have made it a point to repeatedly underline that they are not affiliated to any political group. There have been all kinds of tremors, cultural and diplomatic, that have emerged from these protests. We had Canada's Justin Trudeau wading into the protests, saying he stood with the farmers. The Canadian High Commissioner was then summoned and told to basically mind his own business. We've had film stars clashing with each other, with many of the film stars and cultural icons from Punjab actually rallying with the farmers and even returning highest sort of state honors. And I think the government is finally beginning to realize the sort of gravity of the situation. At the moment, it's not budging. There have been some rounds of talks. Those talks have collapsed. One of the farmer activists told me in Hindi that the phase for what in Hindi is called beach ka rasta, the middle path, is now over, that they will stand for nothing less than the repeal of these laws. The Modi government is not known to take back decisions it takes. So at the moment, it's stalemate, but a challenge from the streets of India's capital.
Barkha Dutt, good to talk as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you.